After some time with Victor, I wanted to make a guide that explains some of his abilities, how to use them, what are some good items for him. At the end of the video, I'll have some examples that have how I've played him and show me during middle of fights on what kind of how to use some of his abilities all together to make space and to get a lot of damage off with him. Check the timestamps down below for the focus topic of what's going on in the video. As always with these type of guides, the exact behavior and numbers of items and abilities are prone to balance patch and updates. So what is Victor good at and how to use him, right? So Victor is really great at creating space and being in the front of your face, in the face of your enemies with his short range abilities because they're all super close. So you feel like the playstyle of being in people's faces and living on the edge with your health bar with kind of having to balance a damage threshold of like, maybe I might be almost dead, and then you come back with health and you're now like over 50-70% health and you're just killing them instead and you're outliving them, similar to kind of like Mo and Abrams can do, then Victor might be for you. He can do a lot of damage if you have a big advantage of items or souls on top of how the enemy may be playing. And his sustainability with his abilities is a lot of fun, in my opinion. I've had a lot of fun with him and playing kind of like Threshold, like, oh my gosh, I might die. And then all of a sudden you get your jump start with your battery. And then now you're back to, you know, half health, and then on top of that, if you have like infuser or other life steal items, then you'll get even more off of that, and which is a lot of fun to kind of see and feel when matches and battles go like that with him. So what you should actually be using with him, you should use him to create space for your team and kind of try to aim to fight in the middle of the enemy to hurt as many people as you can. Now there are some times when you should need to chase down the weakest one. So if this Infernus was the weakest, Victor you can go chase them down like anyone else, especially if they're like really more of a support, like a page or a Rim that's in the back and they're not really like dying or no one else is prioritizing them and they're just getting so much off. So you need to go harass them and then they'll have to rotate, or they'll have to go abandon kind of like that fight to back off, and you can separate them that way. But ideally, let's say more of these two, you would want to kind of be more in between these two so that you can damage multiple of them with the aura, or get between as many people as you could with battery, because if you hit one, it does not pierce through, so like this doesn't go through, but if you can cone through between two of them, you can hit two, right? So you're want to try to get multiple people with battery and definitely more with aura, so trying to play between the two of them instead of just one of them like this is definitely what you want, unless you're going to try to aim for like a battery to try to get as many people as you can. But again, if no one's really harassing that person that's playing on the back line and they don't have a huge mobility like Amina, you can go chase them down or harass them, but ideally you would want to try to be in the middle of as many people as you can so that you can damage and so that you can sustain with your life steal from aura and your life stealing items. So as for Victor's abilities, I'll go through them and kind of the main key upgrade paths for them, because like I said, they could always change in the future, and I would honestly be surprised if they don't at least change his reanimate. So for a battery, it's a little electricity cone that's in front of him. So it's pretty short range ability. You can see it goes all the way up there to where the cinder block is. So roughly 20 meters, which you can also see going over there. It is exactly 20 meters. There you go. But the main thing about battery is that you do have to aim it. So if you aim above their head, you're not going to hit them. So you really have to watch out if someone is in a vertical, like if they're jumping or if they're slide dashing, they can actually slide. I have missed before someone going down like stairs or something because they slid or they're above or whatever. So you really kind of have to watch out, and it's pretty kind of more precise than you might think. Like that right there might think you might hit them, but that one does, and then that one doesn't. So you really need to make sure you aim that properly. And of course, like I said, it does not go through, but you can hit multiple enemies if you line up the cone properly. So when you're trying to line up battery, you want to see if you can hit multiple people instead of just a straight one, and you're trying to get at least somewhat of a cone, right? This is also true whenever you're fighting minions or neutral camps. So like if you want to try to hit these two, it would be better to like assuming there was like another tier 3 there, you want to try to do something like this where you hit both of them at possible, or if the camp allows it, all 3 of them in the right degree angle, or in the correct angle. The big thing that I want to call out for ability wise on battery is that it's a T5 upgrade, is this healing part. So the lower your health is and you use it, the more you are actually going to heal based off of that. So that, and if you hit multiple people, that triggers it more. So let's go to half health here. So we're at 160. So the big thing that I want to call on the upgrade for battery, at least, is the T5 upgrade, which heals for your missing health. This only procs if you hit one of them. So even if you hit multiple enemies with it, you do not heal for 18 missing health on each enemy hit. But whenever you have spirit lifesteal items, you still will get the extra healing from more. So for example, I have 300 health here now. So I get 184, and I'll just do half health again roughly. So if I hit these two, I won't get like, you know, double the value near 200. It'll still be around 100, right? So unfortunately, you do not get this per each one. However, if we get Spirit Lifesteal, we'll see that where's 137 and then 24. And then we do half health again. And if we hit both of them, you'll see that it's still more for each one, right? So you still want to try to aim for multiple with lifesteal, not only to hurt them, but for the healing once you have, you know, spirit lifesteal items. But at least in tier 5, regardless, having the 18% extra health for just hitting one enemy is a lot, and this is actually more of your healing tool than your Jumpstart is, because you'll be able to spam battery more in fights because of the short cooldown versus Jumpstart, and Jumpstart has a long cooldown. So Jumpstart is your other healing item, just like battery, but this is always heals you. The thing with Jumpstart though is you want to use this lower the health you are, because you hurt yourself whenever you do Jumpstart, but the lower health that you are, the less that you'll heal. So if I was to use Jumpstart now, we hurt ourselves 80 and we healed ourselves 111, right? But if we were super low and we were to Jumpstart now, instead of 80, we only took 22 damage and we healed the same amount. So subtracting 2, we said healed 80 instead of just like 30 or 20. So you really want to make sure to try to like use Jumpstart whenever you're lower health. And I will actually say this too, is for battery. So if we turn off no cooldowns, you throw your battery. So whenever you use battery, you want to try to use battery. If battery is available, you want to try to use it first if possible, and then use Jumpstart so that the damage that you take from Jumpstart applies to the buildup on battery. So one last thing that I want to call out for battery is that battery does not like your other abilities where you can just use it. You have to take damage from enemies or for yourself, because you can damage yourself with Victor's abilities in order to be able to use it. And that's when it's charging up. You'll see right now there's like 15% of it charged right now. So if I was to use Aura, you'll see that it starts adding up. Because you damage yourself during Aura. So to actually be able to use battery, you have to take a lot of damage. You have to take damage in order for it to actually be able to be usable. And if you get cooldown items, you'll see that battery generation says 120. So that means it takes less damage in order for it to be fully available, which is one of the reasons why cooldown abilities are really nice in Victor's kit. And whenever it is available, if you're at least fighting it, his whole arm with the barbed wire will actually be glowing electricity. So if we do no cooldown, you'll see now that his arm is electrified. That means he's able to use battery. So just wanted to call out that to actually use battery, you have to actually take damage. Next, I want to talk about Jumpstart. So Jumpstart is your active healing item, but the thing about Jumpstart is that the lower health that you are, the less damage that you take. So you hurt yourself to use Jumpstart, but if you're lower health, so let's say for example I use it right now, we'll see I took 90 damage and I healed for 111. But if we are lower health and have 157 and then we use it, we see we only took 22 damage. So if you want our lower health, it is better to use Jumpstart. Granted, during laning phase sometimes you need the extra health, so you got to use it, makes sense. But like living this low is kind of super risky during lane if you're being hard pressure. But whenever you're fighting and everything, and since it doesn't heal you immediately, It's a healing over time in a short window. You got to be careful and kind of have to gauge and balance, like, do I use this when I'm like at 100 health out of 1,000, or do I use it when I'm at 300, even though it won't heal you as much? So that's actually like kind of a core mechanic with Victor, is like finding that line of like risking versus not risking, how much you want to attempt to utilize and min-max the healing, his abilities. Now, one thing that's important though that you want to try to do as well is that if you have battery available and you use battery, before you want to try to use battery if you can before using Jumpstart, because the damage from Jumpstart will normally add to your battery, and sometimes it can add quite a bit to it. You'll see right there, I took almost a 1/4% charge on my battery, so it's kind of good if you can to throw out battery and then Jumpstart in fights, if possible. For this one, I want to call it the T5. This T5 is really good for clearing CC or debuffs. You'll see that like Afterburn and Gen Mark and Mina Love Bites, etc., knockdown, 7 stun, etc. This is really good for that one. So if you're against a heavy CC team, so if they have like, if there's Infernus, Mirage, Mina, 7, and then Paige, all these characters that can root you or CC you really hard. I don't normally get rapid recharge if I can avoid it, but I will get extra charge. But having rapid recharge is really good for having more ways to remove debuffs without having to buy Dispel Magic, because it's not debuff remover anymore. So that's definitely something to be aware of, that this is really good for removing this, because Victor gets hard CC'd. A lot of the times he gets really focused, and because if you get stunned and knocked down while your aura is going and they just walk out of your aura, you're literally just hurting yourself instead of anyone else. So and those rapid recharge can really help out with keeping up more charges on your Jumpstart, so that you can actually heal and be able to debuff and remove those cleanse yourself. So this is really good for that. So his other ability that you can do is Aura. So the Aura is the it's been called, I guess, a stink aura, as you can see right here. It's a really close range. It's not even 10 meters initially, so it's really small. But it damages anyone inside of it, including yourself. It damages enemies and yourself. It doesn't damage friendlies. The important thing that I want to call out with Aura is that Aura has a build up to damage. So like while you're initially using it, you don't the longer it goes on, which takes about 10 seconds, it does more damage. So if you see I'm doing 19 damage, and I turn off, and then I turn it back on, you'll see I'm doing 6 damage initially. So it takes about 10 seconds to ramp up. That's what the max DPS is. And you can hear there's a sound effect that goes off whenever I wrapped up to the 10 seconds, right? Something that's kind of useful when you're using this is that, like, if there's a team fight that's going on where the Guardian is over there, you can, while you're on zipline, you can activate it and then get on and then get off, so that by the time you get over here, you would be able to you would have max aura. So that's kind of something that's important to utilize with Victor, is that if there's a team fight that's going on that you're immediately going into, if it's possible, you really want to try to start aura sooner than later, so that you can have your most damage possible with aura going on. Lastly, let's talk about reanimation. So you cannot trigger reanimation. What happens is that whenever you have this off a cooldown, when you die, you come back to life, and you damage any enemies in the ring. So and you stun them. So like whenever I die here, this ring that's happening here, all of this ring that's right here, this is the reanimate ring. That's what's going to damage. So any enemies that is inside of this will take damage on top of being stunned inside of this ring. Like I said, it triggers automatically, so you would die. You can't actively trigger it. So it's whenever you run out of health, this is what happens automatically. And then you come back to life, damage, and then you go from there. Now it's on the cooldown, so if I was to die now, then I'm dead, right? So that's kind of like Victor's gimmick, is that with his ultimate, is that you basically get a second life depending on how if this is on cooldown or not. But the important thing too with this is that since it stuns them, if there's an ultimate that's going on, like if Seven or Bebop is around there or Mo and you die like next to them, you can save or you can interrupt them channeling if they don't have Unstoppable, because it has stun applied into that reanimation circle. So it's kind of good in spaces like that. This is huge to contest mid boss by the way, because you can interrupt and prevent and provide so much space around objectives that's normally not possible whenever this is off a cooldown. So for ability order, I'm just going to share the one that I've kind of been using. I've gotten a lot of value out of it, and I think it's kind of like pretty steadily the best order given the current balance right now for Spirit Victor. And basically you want to max battery, max jumpstart, max aura, and then max reanimate. The reason why is because, as I talked about with the healing from battery, is that this is a lot of damage that allows you to be in people's face more than jumpstart. Jumpstart's purging is really good, which I rarely will max jumpstart first. If I'm getting a lot of heavy CC that I can't even like do anything, then I'll max it first. But you get so much for value out of maxing battery, because you can be in people's face. You can be more aggressive by getting that, having that life steal built in to your into your kit. It just helps out so much. Maxing aura doesn't kind of like helps mid to late game, which is why it's the third one. The enemy takes 13% extra damage. The stronger you are with the stronger items that are available, you know, the tier 3, tier 4 items, that you get more value out of that by having that perked here instead of at the beginning when you do less damage to take advantage of it, compared to the other ones. Like the other two just offer more value than the aura, tier 5. And then the last one with the shocking the reanimation tier 5. So they changed this when Victor first came out. This was not his perk, his tier 5. They immediately changed it like within an hour or two, because his old one was just so busted. And then they slapped this on, and this is just Merc Magnum. Like, it's fire rate and spirit pull damage while you don't have reanimate off a cooldown, which is just Merc Magnum, except for you don't have to reload. So, but yeah, since this is just Merc Magnum, I think they're just going to change this. I don't think this is a permanent. I think it was just a band-aid fix for him, and then they moved on, and then they'll come back and revisit him, because this is just Merc Magnum. Except for instead of in between reloads, you don't have it. It's just between cooldown. I could see you possibly doing this for a gun build, if you can make a gun build work with Victor, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But the value out of this one isn't worth the tier 5 compared to it. I think it might be fun for a couple of games, just for shits and giggles, but I wouldn't prioritize doing tier 5 long term, or as is a more reliable build, you know. Okay, next I want to talk about builds, spirit build mainly, because Victor is a spirit frontliner mainly, compared to, I guess, the other like main frontliners or brawler type of characters, because everything about his kit scales for spirit. If you did not know, real quick, I just want to call this out too, that with every character you can hover over the spirit tab to see what is affected by spirit, and Victor has a lot of stuff that's affected by spirit. Specifically his just base region. His region is increased by spirit, so he will take advantage of spirit regardless. So with that being said, there's two builds that I want to just call out given the current state of the game, since that you could look at. I don't have mine published, but it's just literally kind of modded off of Raw Dogs. But I would look at Heresies or Raw Dogs. Both of them are almost identical, but not really. It's really just the buy order, to be honest. The main thing is that Raw Dog rushes Infuser, which I've actually been enjoying and getting more value out of rushing Infuser than Heresy's build, which this is my build here too. Like I said, I just took my stuff and kind of organized it just for me, which is almost identical to Raw Dogs. It was kind of tweaked and put there, so it's kind of what I liked, but really kind of modeled off of this one. So if you are not really sure which one to do right now, I would advise either one of these two builds here are really helpful. The big thing here though, the reason why is because Torment Pulse, you're rushing your 4.8 spirit investment between these two here, and then you're rushing Infuser specifically, and not even just the 4.8 vitality, but Infuser specifically. You can farm a lot harder with this, you can be involved in fights a lot harder, and then you go about your typical build that you would find on a Spirit Victor. The thing with Infuser the reason why it's so important, whenever your aura is activated and it's fully max damage, if you then activate Infuser, you will out heal the damage that you are doing to yourself, and you won't like, you don't have to worry about dying, I guess, if you can stay on top of enemies. So infusers are really strong. So if you see right here how it's going right now, once I activate Infuser, we'll see that I'm actually out healing the damage that I do to myself, and you're doing more damage to them. So Infuser is very, very strong. You don't want to use Infuser like at the start of Aura or at the start of team fights. It's really, you want to try to wait until you can get Aura start ramped up, which takes 10 seconds. And so around, 6 seconds or longer, or, I guess once your health starts getting like half-ish, once you have Infuser, you want to wait till Aura is max damage or as close to max as possible, and then you stand on top of their face, and then you will just immediately start killing them, because the value between the life steal, and the extra spirit it provides is very, very powerful. The other thing that I want to call out too, the main item in Victor's builds besides Infuser, is Escalating Exposure. Escalating Exposure is very, very powerful. The reason why Escalating is more valued than, let's say, just say Boundless, because like you said, Victor scales on Spirit, but why not Boundless? The reason why Escalating is powerful, increases your damage without increasing how much you hurt yourself. So a lot of the times, as I kind of talked about, like with this aura here, like you're gonna hurt yourself with spirit damage, but based off of the spirit as well. But with Escalating, you don't proc Escalating on yourself. So by having Escalating, you hurt the enemies more while you're not hurting yourself more. So Escalating is a very, very valuable item to get as Victor. You see I'm 44 damage to them, and I'm not doing any more damage to myself compared to earlier. So that's why they go really well together. And then if I was activating Infuser, you just skyrocket it, and now I'm doing 50, 60 damage, right? So having it Escalating and Infuser are like the two main items I would recommend with Victor, because they just complement each other so well. But they're like the big power spikes with Victor. The next thing that I want to call out in these builds, and that's just the last two ones that I wanted to, because I think they just kind of go together with them, is Warp Stone and Torment Pulse, or eventually if you really needed to, which I've had to take advantage of it, is Torment Pulse and just Phantom Strike. You can buy Warp Stone, buy Warp Stone and replace it with Phantom Strike, or keep both if you have the spots. But the reason why being like, not only do you get your 4.8 when you get Torment Pulse provides a lot of extra health, and Victor loves extra health. Anything to give it Victor extra health is helpful because of how his battery works. And then Warp Stone is useful because you can do basically everything with it movement wise during fights. You can use it to close gaps, you can use it to get away. If there's a lash about ults, you can watch out and dash away. You can do it while they're running away, close the gap. And then of course it offers the bullet resist, which is also always helpful. And then you're going to be getting expansion anyways, which increases the distance. So instead of 11 meters, you're going almost 15 meters. So these two together are, I guess, the next item that I kind of would say that are kind of necessary for Spirit Victor. So Infuser, Escalating, and kind of Torment to Warp Stone together are kind of like the next kind of required items I would actually recommend for Victor. You could probably get away with Warp Stone with if you got Stamina Mastery and you took advantage and could really utilize Stamina Mastery or some other movement tech besides Warp Stone. But a Torment Pulse and a moving item I think are really kind of necessary for Victor. As I mentioned, most builds are kind of the same. If you were to look through all these ones, the biggest thing is either just some of the ability point order is probably different, or the buy order on some things, but really most of the items are the same with Victor. I want to briefly mention about maybe doing a gun Victor. I don't actually really try this, so I wouldn't fully say go in and have fun with this, but I just want to call out, if you wanted to, this is probably something that you could do. Do BRS with Rapid, or you could not get Rapid and do Torment Pulse, as I kind of mentioned, as long as something to get the 4.8. But really you want again, just to focus more on the gun items. With the two new items, recharging and ballistic, I think are really strong. I would probably, like, I was even thinking like maybe just selling cultist and monster later on for ballistic, but berserker and ballistic are probably the big two damage ability ones for him for gun wise. Berserker because you're going to get this 70% stack. You should almost always have this with ballistic. And then I would also really advise getting escalating resilience for the gun damage or the gun resistance. But something similar to this would be probably something that I would recommend, at least item wise, if you were to be interested at all in Gun Victor. And then I would actually recommend maxing Reanimation as your second tier 5 ability instead of doing like Jumpstart or Battery, to take advantage of the fire rate and the extra spirit damage. All right, so I hope y'all enjoyed that. Let me know if you want me to go in more detail on Victor or other examples of other guides. Lastly, I want to show some examples of me playing Victor just so you kind of see like kind of what I was talking about and have an example to reference. But if you want to see any other guides, let me know if you'd like to see them. Enjoy as always and have a wonderful day. I have 90 health on the backside. Oh, we actually did it this time. Wow. Paradox. It's fine. They're not.
Don't you get it?
Dude, the range on my ult, man.
Nice.
They're all weak. I thought this was really nice ult.
His fucking curse.
Not fun, man. No, Dynamo.
What? Last row just took it.
I'm leaving him 300 HP.